Hello everybody, Dark Skeleton here, and today I wanted to take a look at one of the new League of Explorers cards in more depth, and that is Reno Jackson, who is very interesting to me in two ways. The first being that it is a card that has the potential to slow down the meta, because this card, if you pull its trigger and it actually goes off, it will fully heal your hero, and just your hero. That means turn 6 or past turn 6, if you meet the condition, you can basically Tree of Life yourself and put a 4/6 minion on the board, which is absolutely ridiculous, and that is the whole reason why it is actually a pretty difficult card to trigger. Or, more specifically, a card that you would generally need to build a deck around in order to trigger properly. So its battle cry is if your deck contains no more than one of any card, fully heal your hero. And I believe this means no more than one of any card remaining in your deck. That doesn't mean your hand, so you could theoretically have a few duplicates in your deck, but you would have to draw them, not necessarily play them, but they would have to at least be outside of your deck in order for you to play Reno Jackson successfully. But that's probably okay actually, because Reno Jackson is a card that you wouldn't even want to play until the mid to late game. So early game cards might actually be able to be played, because you can generally get those out consistently before turn 6, at least one copy of them. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Reno Jackson may look like, oh, it's too niche or whatever, or the requirement is too steep, more specifically, that you can't play duplicates in your deck, really. But let's actually go ahead and take a look at that. How intense would it really be for you to play a deck with one of every good card in it, instead of two of the good cards, specifically so that you can play around the Reno Jackson heal? Now, remember, you would probably be comparing this to a card like Healbot, which is heal 8 to your hero as a 3/3 stats. So you gotta kind of judge, is Reno Jackson worth paying 1 extra mana and getting, theoretically, 22 extra points of healing, but we know it's not going to be that much. And the extra 3 health and 1 attack. Also for the cool factor, of course. So one of the decks, I think, or one of the classes rather, I think would go pretty well with Reno is specifically the Mage. And the reason for that is that the Mage kind of has a lot of really good cards, especially on the spell side. So you really have a lot of different cards to choose from. For instance, Mana Worm, we can throw that in there. Arcane Missiles is pretty decent, might not make the final cut. And we'll just go ahead and put together a theoretical Reno Jackson deck. So Frostbolt, Flame Cannon, of course. Maybe you even want Fallen Hero. Remember, Reno Jackson is more of a control card. You wouldn't really play it in an aggro deck, so maybe something like Tempo Mage or Tempo Mage not aggro, but control could be interesting here. The Snow Chugger isn't even uh, out of the mind. And let's actually go ahead and throw in a Mana Worm, a second Mana Worm, and 2 Mad Scientists, because those are pretty key mage cards if you're going to be playing anything but Freeze Mage, but even the Freeze Mage wants to have the Mad Scientist and the Mana Worm. So at this point, the condition for playing Reno Jackson would be to have played 1 Mana Worm and 1 Mad Scientist, and I think that's about as far as I want to go with the duplicates, because you really don't want to end up in the situation where you really need the healing, but you can't play it. So let's see, what else do we have here? We can pick some secrets, and there's quite a few pretty decent ones. So we could say 1 Mirror Entity, maybe an Effigy, or a Counter Spell. Not out of the question. Let's see, is that better than a duplicate? Kind of depends. Not gonna try to perfect it here. You can kind of pick your own secrets in theory. If you're gonna be playing Sorcerer's Apprentice, hey, might as well throw in an Arcane Intellect. Might as well throw in a Flame Walker. And say you wanted to bring this into the late game, you could have 2 different types of polymorphs. You can have your polymorph boar, and you can also have your regular polymorph. And of course, being a mage deck, you need the fireball. League of Explorers added in a new card, Forgotten Torch, which is kind of like a fireball. It's a deal 3 damage on turn 3 or for 3 mana, and then shuffle a Roaring Torch into your deck, and that deals 6 damage for 3 mana, which makes Forgotten Torch pretty reasonable. Kind kind of on par with Fireball, a little bit different in how it works though, but pretty good for control decks, seems like. Spellslinger is also fairly decent. Getting more spells, still kind of a tempo mage, even though we're probably going a more late game. Specifically because we can't just grab all the 1 drops, 2 drops, and 3 drops, and also because the whole idea is a Reno Jackson. And heck, I forgot to put Reno Jackson in the deck. That's pretty funny. So let's go ahead and do that here. So we have Reno Jackson as a 6 drop. Let's see. Probably going to want Tharzan in there because every deck plays Tharzan. Okay. What else can we grab? And you can see we've almost already filled this deck with pretty solid cards, and we haven't even gone through all the mage cards yet. So let's see. Okay, we got Fireball. Echo of Medivh. Probably not the deck for it. Water Elemental is a solid 4-drop. And speaking of solid 4-drops, Shredder. You gotta have a Shredder, because it's also a card that's in a lot of decks. So 6 cards left, and this is probably where we'll throw in those more late game Tempo Mage deck cards. You know which ones I'm talking about. Your Archmage Antonidas, maybe a Flame Strike. A Blizzard isn't even out of the question. And I kind of like the idea of Ronin. I've never had the chance to play him, but it seemed like it was working out for some decks. And beyond that, okay, we got the Tharzan. We need some 5-drops, so I'm going to throw in an Azure Drake. That's always a solid card to play. And in the new set, League of Explorers, Mages actually got a really nice competitor to the Azure Drake, and that is the Ethereal Conjurer, a 5-mana 6/3 that discovers a spell. Discover meaning you get to choose from one of 3 random spells that are presented for you. So really quite solid, right up there with not Competitive Spirit, Azure Drake. Okay, let's see, is there anything else worth it from the League of Explorers set? For a final card, probably not from this specific set. We could throw in a BGH. Oh, wait, no, Dr. Boom, of course. How could I almost forget about that? Dr. Boom, come out, buddy. And already, I'm actually pretty satisfied with this deck list. I mean, you look at it, it's kind of pretty much a standard mid to late game or mid-range Tempo Mage. You got an Arcane Missiles. We could have thrown in a the Mirror Images. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of that card, but it would have been pretty decent. You got your Mana Worm Stone, your Mad Scientists, which are pretty core for the early game, and you know it'll be fine because you just need to play one of each by the time you get the Reno Jackson out. And got your Frostbolts, your Flame Cannons, your Arcane Missiles, all good cards, synergy with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, blah blah blah. You guys know how Tempo Mage works. And 3 secrets, just pick different kinds of secrets instead of having multiple of the same kind. 2 types of Polymorph, really good for answering mid to late game minions. Just a lot of pretty solid stuff going all the way down the list. And then the cards to finish out the game with Archmage Antonidas, Dr. Boom, Ronin, and Emperor Tharzan. Now, one other card that may have been worth considering would have just been a heal bot. So then you would have had 2 different types of healing. It just depends. How do you want to build this deck? You can tell that there's just so much potential, or so many opportunities, or rather, so many options, is what I'm trying to say, for you to play around with when you're building these decks, even if you're going to build a deck with 1 copy of each card. And what makes this so fun is that when you get to choose 1 copy of each card, it means you can't really just dump the 15 best cards in necessarily. You actually gotta expand a little bit and play some cards that aren't bad, but just aren't commonly seen in the current meta. And I think that's a lot of fun. So Reno Jackson is really cool in that aspect, but will he also slow down the meta? We'll have to see, because fully healing your hero is a pretty big deal. You get that effect out against, say, a Face Hunter, which may or may not be reliable, will require testing purposes. And, well, I don't think a Hunter can really come back from his opponent healing to 30 HP. That would be pretty impressive. So, I've been Dark Skeleton. Thanks for taking a look at this new League of Explorers card and deck building kind of theory crafting with me. And until my next video, I will see you then.